Other person who just keeps running and running is our number 2 story of the year, former Dartmouth High star Jordan Todman, who has kind of really stepped onto the national stage with UConn and is getting a lot of attention. More so, I think, than maybe we've had some pretty good football players come out of this area. We've had some players reach the NFL, but I think Todman might have the potential to surpass them all.
I mean, we talk about, strong years. If you look back, it was January 3rd that Donald Brown, the running back at UConn, who was the number 1 guy there in front of Todman, said he was going to go pro. And year continues, gets closer to the season. Jordan Todman starts getting a little national play at the beginning of the year. He was a finalist for the big running back award. Then he just steps onto the scene. He and Andre Dixon, became this kind of a thunder and lightning style combo. Todman scoring touchdowns at Notre Dame. He's making national headlines at Cincinnati. Obviously the tragedy of the UConn football team brought a lot more of attention to that team through Jasper Howard, but you could not have wanted anything more for Jordan Todman, than what you saw this year. And the kid's got 2 years left, and he's got every time you hear about someone talk about Jordan Todman and in the pros, it's like, well, is he big enough? Is he strong enough? There's time to add that strength. He's got the football mind. You see him on the field. He knows what he's going to do. He's very focused. He's always been, and you guys know this as well as I do from when he was here, a very smart kid. He's on the right path, and he's surrounded by the right kind of people. Randy Edsall's done incredible things at UConn, and if he stays there, he obviously likes Todman. Now Dixon's moving off and moving forward, and it's almost like next year could be the year when Todman really breaks out. After this year, when now the nation knows his name.
Well, you say he's sharing the load with Dixon this past year, but still he had 226 carries for 1,152 yards and 14 touchdowns, and that's sharing time with Dixon. So if he gets the chance to be the guy, those numbers are only going to increase. As it is right now, he's probably better than Lawrence Maroney.
That's mean. We're trying. This is supposed to be an uplifting end of the year thing.
Sorry, Lawrence.
How can you hate a man who wears a Kool-Aid medallion?
That's true. I love Lawrence Maroney. But you mentioned that Cincinnati game for Jordan Todman. It was a loss. They lost 47-45.
Yeah.
But he had 162 rushing yards. He had 31 receiving yards, and he had 4 touchdowns in that game.
Almost every UConn loss was a close loss. Final minute, final 2 minutes, late score. I mean, Cincinnati is playing in the Sugar Bowl. They're undefeated, and UConn almost took them down. Meanwhile, UConn is in the papajohns.com Bowl.
Yes. If you haven't had a chance to see Jordan Todman this year and the UConn Huskies, check them out on Saturday against South Carolina.
No, Todman's going to be good. Whether he's NFL good is something that will be decided, but all the pieces are there. It's going to take a couple more breaks for him to get to the big time, but we've had NFL players come from this area before. We've got Stephen Cooper on the Chargers. It can happen. And everything is falling in his direction right now, and he's putting in the work and he's putting in the time. And if he keeps doing that, the sky, as they say, is the limit.
One time I was at the Dartmouth tennis courts to cover a girls' match, and when Amy Lopes, who was mentioned in this podcast earlier, was playing number 1 for them, and a couple of the guys from the Dartmouth football team came up just to watch. One of them was Jordan. And I liked the way he was watching and commenting on the match, because he struck me as a kid who has a lot of respect for other people's talent, and sort of enjoys seeing what they can do in a way that showed me that he's all about learning. All about trying to get better, all about respecting where other people are at and what they can accomplish. And, we were talking about, how, because Amy was just punishing, the kid from Old Rochester, whose name I should...
Well, they got killed, so you don't want to
slap me upside.
Yeah,
the head.
You don't want to.
But anyway, it was one of those matches where Amy was really hitting hard. And Jordan was kind of like thinking, "Oh boy, I'm glad I'm not that kid," on the other side. And but he's a kid who just has gotten all the way, very patient kid, freshman, high school freshman. He doesn't play a varsity game until Thanksgiving, and runs roughshod over Fairhaven in a muddy soup. But here's a kid who, if he had it, if he wasn't wired right mentally and thought he should come to him sooner, and he was grousing or whatever, and he should have been in this game earlier, that opportunity might never have come for him. But this is a kid who, like Couch says, you don't really know what the limit is for him, because he never stops thinking of how to get better, and he's humble.
PapaJohns.com bowl.
And
Papa John's.
And we'll just quickly mention as well Jordan's former high school teammate Arthur Lynch playing for Georgia.
Played at Georgia. They had their first won in a rout last night in the Independence Bowl, I believe. And actually from that same team, Sean Sylvia this year got a scholarship to Boston College. He's going to be playing safety starting next year. So, 3 Division I prospects from one team.
Casely Brody Gifford.
Did not play football for Dartmouth.
No, but she played Amy Lopes in tennis.
Okay.